Welcome to the Deep Dive. You wanted to explore everyday English phrases, and you sent us a beginner-level podcast script as a starting point.
Right.
We're going to use it to unearth some gems that you can use right away to start having real conversations in English.
Yeah, it's amazing how much you can do with just a handful of well-chosen phrases.
Yeah.
It's like having a conversational toolkit.
Exactly. And what's cool about this script is it doesn't just give you the phrases, it shows you how they fit into daily routines.
Right.
So it's not just about what you say, but when you say it.
That's where the real magic of communication happens. It's about reading the situation
Right.
and using the right phrase at the right time.
Okay, so let's jump right in. The script starts with greetings.
Okay.
Like, good morning, and how are you? Those seem pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing there's more to them than meets the eye.
You're absolutely right. Take good morning, for example. In many English-speaking cultures, it's not just a polite acknowledgement. It's a genuine invitation to connect. The script even pairs it with, did you sleep well?
Oh.
Which, depending on where you are, could be a perfectly normal follow-up or might be considered a bit too personal for a casual encounter.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So even with a simple greeting, there are cultural nuances to be aware of. It's like a secret code.
Exactly. And that's why context is so important. The way you use these phrases can change depending on who you're talking to, where you are, even the time of day.
Okay, I'm starting to see how even basic phrases can have hidden depths. What about how are you? Is there more to that than just being polite?
There certainly is. While it can be a simple pleasantry, it can also be a genuine inquiry about someone's well-being.
Yeah.
And the way you respond can signal how open you are to further conversation.
Okay.
A quick, I'm fine, thanks, might signal you want to keep things brief, while a more detailed response invites further interaction.
So it's all about reading the signals and responding accordingly, like a conversational dance.
Exactly. And this script gives us a great example of a response that keeps the conversation flowing.
Okay.
I'm doing great, thanks. And you?
Yeah.
Notice how it not only answers the question, but also turns it back to the other person, encouraging them to share as well.
It's like a conversational volley. I like that. It keeps the energy up.
Right.
So we've covered greetings, which are more complex than they first appear. What's next on our conversational adventure?
Well, the script takes us right into a classic scenario, mealtime. And the first phrase we encounter is, what's for breakfast? Now, this might seem like a simple question, but it actually opens up a whole world of possibilities.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How can a question about breakfast be so powerful?
Think about it. Food is a universal topic.
Yeah.
It's something everyone can relate to. Talking about food allows you to connect with people on a personal level, share cultural experiences, and even learn new things.
That's so true. I love trying new foods and hearing about other people's culinary traditions. It's a great way to break the ice and get to know someone.
Exactly. And the script doesn't just stop at breakfast. It goes on to include phrases like, can you pass the salt, please?
Oh, yeah.
Which, while seemingly simple, are essential for navigating mealtime etiquette.
You know, it's funny you mention that. I once had an awkward experience where I forgot to say please when asking for something at the dinner table. Let me tell you, those two little letters make a big difference in how your request comes across.
They certainly do. Politeness goes a long way in any language. And using phrases like please and thank you shows respect and consideration. It's like adding a little social lubricant to your interactions.
I love that analogy. It's so true. Okay, so we've mastered greetings and mealtime etiquette. What's next on our agenda?
Well, the script then shifts gears to getting ready for the day, and we encounter the phrase, I need to take a shower. Now, while this might seem like a very basic statement, it actually highlights an important grammatical structure. The present continuous tense.
Ooh, grammar. I'm all ears. Tell me more.
The present continuous tense is used to describe actions that are happening right now. In this case, the speaker is expressing their immediate need to shower.
Right.
The script highlights this tense again later with the phrase, I'm running late, which emphasizes the urgency of the situation.
I see. So the tense you use can really change the emphasis of what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind. But before we get too deep into grammar, I have a question. We've been focusing on individual phrases, but how do they all fit together in a real conversation?
That's a great question. And that's where the final practice dialogue in the script comes in. It shows you how all these phrases can be combined to create a natural flow of conversation. It's like watching a master chef put together a delicious meal using all the right ingredients in the right order.
Okay, that's a fantastic way to put it. We're building our conversational skills, phrase by phrase, and the final practice dialogue shows us how to put it all together. So in a way, we're like chefs, creating a delicious conversational feast. I love it. So far, we've tackled greetings, mealtime conversations, and getting ready for the day. Where does this linguistic journey take us next?
Well, next, our script takes us into the worlds of work and school, two settings where clear communication is absolutely key.
I can only imagine the kinds of mishaps that could happen if you're not able to express yourself clearly in those environments.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why the script provides us with some real gems for navigating these situations. For instance, it gives us the phrase, "Can I help you?" which is like a Swiss Army knife of communication in a work or school setting.
Okay, I'm seeing a lot of potential there. How so?
Think about it. You can use it when you genuinely want to assist someone who looks lost or confused, like a student struggling to find their classroom. Or you can use it in a professional setting to offer assistance to a colleague who seems overwhelmed.
Wow. I hadn't thought about the different ways that phrase could be used. It's all about adapting it to the context.
Exactly. And just as important as offering help is knowing when to ask for it. The script gives us the phrase, "I need a break." It seems straightforward, but it's so important to be able to communicate your needs, especially in demanding environments.
You know, I think a lot of people, especially those new to a language, might feel hesitant to express their needs so directly. It's like they don't want to seem demanding or incapable.
That's a really important point. Cultural backgrounds can play a huge role in how comfortable people are with expressing their needs. But being able to say, "I need a break" or "I need help" is essential for self-care and setting boundaries.
Absolutely. It's about advocating for yourself.
Yeah.
And hopefully the people around you will respond with understanding and support. Speaking of needs, the script then brings up another important one. What time is lunch?
Yes. The question that keeps us all going, but it's more than just a way to satisfy our hunger.
Right.
It's also a way to inquire about schedules and routines in a polite and indirect way.
So instead of directly asking someone about their schedule, you can use a question like, "What time is lunch?" to subtly gather information. It's like conversational detective work.
Precisely. And it's a strategy that can be applied in many situations, not just when you're hungry. For example, instead of directly asking, "When does the meeting start?" you could ask, "What time do you usually break for coffee?"
That's brilliant. I'm starting to see how these seemingly simple phrases can be used in really strategic ways. It's like a whole new level of communication. So we've covered offering help, asking for help, and even subtly gathering information. Where does the script take us next?
Well, after a long day of work or school, the script guides us into the evening with the suggestion, "Let's watch a movie."
Finally, some relaxation. But I bet there's more to this than just picking a film, right?
You know me too well. On the surface, it's a simple invitation to relax and enjoy some entertainment.
Right.
But it also reflects how we use language to build relationships and create shared experiences.
It's like a bonding ritual, gathering with friends or family, dimming the lights and getting lost in a story together. It creates a sense of connection.
Exactly. And notice how the script pairs this invitation with another classic, "What's for dinner?"
Oh, yeah.
It highlights how food continues to play a central role in our daily interactions, even beyond meal times.
Food really is a universal language, isn't it? It brings people together and sparks conversations. You know, I remember when I first started learning English, one of the first things I wanted to be able to do was order food at a restaurant. It felt like a real accomplishment.
That's a great example of how mastering even basic phrases can give you a sense of confidence and independence in a new language. It allows you to participate in everyday activities and connect with people on a more meaningful level.
So true. Small victories lead to bigger ones. But even with all the excitement of movies and dinner, eventually exhaustion sets in. And the script acknowledges this with the phrase, "I'm so tired."
Ah, yes. The universal sigh of relief at the end of a long day. But even this simple statement holds a deeper meaning. It reflects our shared human experience of fatigue and the need for rest.
It's like an unspoken understanding that we all go through these cycles of activity and rest. And being able to express that feeling of tiredness in any language is a way of connecting with others on a very primal level.
Absolutely. And it often serves as a signal that it's time to wind down and prepare for sleep. The script then gives us time to go to bed, which is more than just a statement.
Oh, yeah.
It's a reminder to prioritize our well-being and recharge for the day ahead.
It's like a gentle nudge towards self-care, which I think we all need sometimes, especially in today's fast-paced world.
Couldn't agree more. And as we drift off to sleep, the script leaves us with a heartwarming sentiment. Sweet dreams.
Oh, I love that. It's such a simple phrase, but it carries so much warmth and affection. It's a reminder that even in our sleep, we're connected to the people we care about.
It's a beautiful way to end the day, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. So far, we've explored a full day's worth of phrases, from greetings to bedtime rituals. What else does this script have in store for us as we wrap up our deep dive?
Well, the script starts the final section on a really positive note with, "Today was a good day."
I like that. It's like a little celebration of all the small wins and positive moments that make up a day.
Exactly. It encourages us to practice gratitude and focus on the good, which can be really powerful, especially when learning a new language. It's easy to get caught up in mistakes and frustrations, but taking a moment to acknowledge the progress you've made can be really motivating.
Yeah, it's like giving yourself a little pat on the back for all the effort you're putting in. And it sets a nice tone for the next phrase. See you tomorrow.
Ah, yes, the classic farewell. It might seem simple, but it actually reinforces the idea of connection and continuity. It signals that while our conversation is ending for now, we anticipate future interactions.
Yeah, it's like saying, this isn't goodbye, it's just see you later. It keeps the door open for future conversations and collaborations.
Precisely. And to make sure those future interactions happen on time, the script gives us a crucial reminder. Don't forget to set your alarm.
Huh. Spoken like someone who's definitely experienced the panic of oversleeping.
Oh, I'll admit, I've had my fair share of close calls. But this phrase is more than just a practical reminder. It also highlights the importance of taking responsibility for our own schedules and commitments.
It's like saying, I'm reliable, I'm organized, I've got this. Which is a great message to send in any language.
Absolutely. And it ties back to the idea of self-advocacy that we discussed earlier. Being able to manage your time and communicate your needs effectively are essential skills, both in language learning and in life.
So true. It's all connected. You know, looking back at this whole script, I'm really impressed by how it weaves together so many seemingly simple phrases into a cohesive narrative.
Me too. The final practice dialogue really brings it all together. It's one thing to learn individual phrases, but it's quite another to see how they can be combined into a natural-sounding conversation.
It's like we've been given all the ingredients, and now we can start experimenting and creating our own conversational dishes.
Exactly. And the beauty of it is that you can take these basic phrases and adapt them to fit your own personality and style. You can add humor, express your unique perspectives, and really make the language your own.
So, to wrap things up, we've gone on quite a journey with this beginner-level podcast script. We've explored how seemingly simple phrases can hold hidden depths, reflect cultural nuances, and be used strategically in different situations.
We've seen how these phrases can be used to build relationships, express needs, navigate daily routines, and even celebrate small victories. It's amazing how much you can accomplish with just a handful of well-chosen words.
It really is. If you're listening and you're just starting out with English, I encourage you to start using these phrases right away. Don't be afraid to experiment, make mistakes, and have fun with it.
And remember, language learning is a journey, not a destination. The more you practice, the more confident and fluent you'll become. So what kind of conversations about your daily routine can you imagine having in English?
That's a great question to ponder. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time for another exciting exploration of language and communication.
Okay, so this is going to be interesting. You sent in a beginner's podcast script about 50 common English words. And I think we were both kind of like 50 common words. What's there to deep dive into?
Yeah, right.
So
that's kind of the fun of it.
yeah, and that's exactly it. I mean, we're not going to just go through a vocabulary list.
Right.
We're going to explore like how these fundamental words shape how we understand the world around us and how we interact with each other, and hopefully give you those aha moments along the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to take these kind of foundational elements of language for granted.
Sure.
But when we do pause and examine them, we can actually uncover some pretty surprising aspects of how we communicate and how we understand the world around us.
Yeah, and what's so fascinating about it is how much information and nuance we can pack into even the simplest words.
Exactly.
Like a single word can convey so much.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's unpack this a little bit. The first set of words in your material focuses on the morning routine. So we have wake up, that moment when our eyes open to a new day.
Right.
Then comes the dreaded or sometimes welcomed alarm.
Yep.
You know, sometimes it's a savior, sometimes it's like, not that sound again.
Right.
Then we brush. Pretty universal act of hygiene, I hope.
Hopefully, yeah.
Then we have shower to get us feeling fresh and ready for the day.
Yep.
And finally, breakfast, fuel to kickstart our day. And the script gives like these very straightforward meanings, like
Sure.
wake up, open your eyes in the morning, and super simple examples like I wake up at 7 a.m. every day, or
Right.
I usually have fruit for breakfast.
Yeah.
Very basic stuff.
Right. And I think what strikes me is how significant this small collection of morning routine words is.
Yeah.
I mean, they represent the sequence of almost ritualistic actions that many of us perform without even thinking.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, we don't even think about it. We just do
We're
it.
just on autopilot.
Totally on autopilot. And think about how those 5 words alone, wake up, alarm, brush, shower, breakfast, can kind of sketch a basic outline of the start of someone's day.
Yeah.
It really highlights how fundamental these actions and these words are to just basic human experience.
Doesn't it? It's like it makes you realize how these like seemingly basic terms
Right.
are kind of like the starting point for describing, a very personal part of our day. So think about your own morning for a moment. How would you use these 5 words? Wake up, alarm, brush, shower, and breakfast to tell someone about your morning routine.
Okay, sure. So
What little details or individual habits could you convey using just those terms?
I actually wake up before my alarm every day.
Yeah.
So I don't need to use the word alarm.
Wow.
I wake up, I brush my teeth, and I hop in the shower.
Okay.
I usually skip breakfast, though.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So let's move on to the next category here. We have words related to work and school. And these words are office, a place of business. A lot of professional work gets done there. Computer, an absolutely essential tool in many workplaces and schools these days.
Yeah.
Meeting, a gathering for discussion, decision making,
Sure.
homework, those tasks assigned for study outside of class.
Yep.
And teacher, the guide in the learning environment. And again, the script gives these like super simple definitions and examples like, my office is on the 3rd floor,
Yeah.
or I need to finish my homework tonight.
Yeah.
So very straightforward stuff.
And what's interesting here is that how these words represent structures and activities that organize a significant portion of many people's lives beyond their personal routines.
It's true.
So we have the personal routine in the morning, and then we go out into the world.
Yeah.
And these are the words that we use to talk about what we're doing out there.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to think about how the traditional understanding of some of these words is also evolving.
Oh,
Like even if you don't go to a physical office every day,
right.
you might have a designated workspace at home that you could call your office.
Right. My office is in my bedroom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And homework isn't just for students anymore. A lot of adults engage in continuous learning or professional development
That's true.
that could fall under that umbrella.
Yeah.
So even if your daily life doesn't perfectly fit these traditional definitions, how might you apply these words office, computer, meeting, homework, teacher to describe your own current activities or learning endeavors?
Well, I think that's the beauty of language, is that it's flexible.
It is.
And these seemingly straightforward words can adapt to describe new realities
That's a great point.
and evolving ways of life.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we'll see kind of throughout this whole deep dive.
Absolutely.
Is how these words are so adaptable.
Yeah.
All right, so next up we have a category that's truly universal: food.
Okay. Everybody eats.
The words here are lunch, that midday break for a meal.
Yeah.
Dinner, the evening meal.
Coffee, a very popular caffeinated drink. We both enjoy some coffee.
Absolutely. I'm actually drinking some right now.
As am I. Water, essential for survival.
Yes.
And fruit, a naturally sweet and often healthy food. And again, the definitions are very simple, like lunch, a meal eaten in the middle of the day.
Right.
And the examples are things like, I usually have lunch around 1 p.m.
Yeah.
And drinking enough water is important. So,
Right. And what's really interesting is that regardless of culture or specific dietary habits,
it's true.
everyone interacts with the concepts represented by these words.
That's a great point.
It's a truly unifying vocabulary.
Think about how many times you use these words, lunch, dinner, coffee, water, and fruit in just one day.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably a constant stream of conversation, right?
Probably. Yeah.
What other, perhaps more specific words do you already know that build on this basic vocabulary?
Sure.
For example, instead of just saying fruit, you might say apple.
Right.
Or banana. Or instead of dinner, you might be talking about sushi or pasta. Right. Or enchiladas.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think what that illustrates is how this core vocabulary acts as a foundation upon which we build more detailed and nuanced descriptions as our language skills develop.
Yeah,
And as we need to be more specific.
absolutely. All right, our next category takes us to a more personal and intimate sphere. Home and family.
Okay.
The words included are house, the place where we live, bedroom, the room where we sleep,
Yeah.
kitchen, a space for preparing food,
Right.
parents, our mother and father, and family, the group of people we are closely related to. And the examples here are quite personal, like my house has a big garden,
Yeah.
or I love spending weekends with my family.
Yeah, and what's interesting about these words is the strong emotional associations they carry.
Absolutely.
House can represent security and comfort,
Yeah,
while family speaks to our deepest connections and a sense of belonging.
it's true.
These aren't just neutral terms. They often evoke really powerful feelings and memories.
They do. And, these words, house, bedroom, kitchen, parents, and family, they really are central to our sense of self and our place in the world. So how do these words resonate with you personally? What kind of feelings or images do they bring to mind?
Oh, well, house for me brings to mind, a feeling of safety
Yeah.
and security. Family, well, my family's spread out all over the place.
Okay.
But it brings to mind a feeling of warmth and connection.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, it's interesting how even with these simple words,
Right.
kitchen for someone might be this like sterile modern space, but for someone else it might be this like warm, lived in space with family recipes. And
Absolutely. Yeah, my grandmother's kitchen.
exactly.
Yeah.
So much meaning packed into such simple words.
Yeah.
All right, finally, we arrive at words that describe how we interact with others and spend our free time.
Okay.
This category includes friend, someone we enjoy spending time with, call, a conversation over the phone,
Yep.
message, or written communication, music, something we listen to for enjoyment,
Sure.
and movie, a visual story we watch. And examples from the script are, my best friend's name is Sarah, and do you want to watch a movie tonight?
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about this set of words is how they reflect our social needs
It's true.
and the ways that we seek enjoyment and connection outside of work or school.
Yep.
I mean, these words represent the building blocks of our social lives and our leisure activities.
Yeah, and it's interesting how technology has really shaped the way we use some of these words as well. Like, call now encompasses not just phone conversations,
Right.
but also video chats.
Right. FaceTime?
Exactly. And message can refer to anything from a text to a direct message on social media.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So much has changed,
Yeah.
even in just the last decade or so. So your source material also provided a short practice dialogue, which I think really shows how these words can work together in a natural way. It goes like this. A, what time do you wake up? B, I wake up at 7 a.m., take a shower, and eat breakfast. Then, A, do you drink coffee? B, yes, I drink coffee every morning.
I love how simple and effective that little dialogue is.
It is, right?
It effortlessly weaves together several of the words that we've been talking about to convey really practical information about someone's morning routine and habits.
Yeah.
It's a great illustration of how even a basic vocabulary can facilitate clear and concise communication.
And it really underscores how, these fundamental questions and answers that we use every day
Yeah,
rely on this core set of words.
absolutely.
They're the workhorses of everyday conversation.
They are. And it also highlights the importance of mastering these seemingly simple terms
Yes,
as a foundation for more complex communication.
absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive into what might seem like very basic vocabulary, it's clear that these common English words are really the essential groundwork for how we understand and talk about our daily lives from the moment we wake up to how we connect with a friend. And while they might appear elementary on the surface, understanding and effectively using these core words is really the very first step in broader language learning and confident communication.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating to me is how much meaning and context we can derive from even this relatively small set of words.
Yeah.
It really underscores their fundamental role in our ability to connect with each other and make sense of our experiences.
That's a perfect way to put it. So here's a final thought for you. You think about all the other seemingly simple words that exist beyond these 25 we've explored today. Each one is like a key that unlocks even more possibilities for understanding and expressing yourself.
That's a great way to think about it.
What other areas of basic vocabulary, perhaps words related to feelings, locations, actions, might you be curious to explore next to build on this foundational layer of language?
That's a great question.
Something to think about.
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that.
Awesome. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
This was fun.
It was fun. It's amazing how much we got out of 50 common English words.
I know, right?
All right. Until next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Welcome to your deep dive on English idioms.
Oh, very cool.
Today we're going beyond simple definitions. We're going to help you really understand and use 33 of the most common ones.
All right.
Think of it as a fluency upgrade,
Yeah.
adding that natural expressive touch to your English.
It's fascinating how idioms work. They pack so much meaning into just a few words reflecting shared cultural experiences
Yeah.
and adding that touch of personality to language.
Exactly. And to make this deep dive even more digestible,
Okay.
we've grouped them into themes.
Ooh, nice.
We're kicking things off with idioms related to mornings and daily routines.
All right.
I'm curious, do you have any favorites in this category?
Well, Rise and Shine is a classic, of course. It's more than just waking up.
Right.
It's about approaching the day with energy and enthusiasm. It's that feeling of, all right, let's do this.
I love that it sets the tone for a productive day. Now, speaking of productivity,
Yeah.
hit the ground running is another great one. It's not just about starting early. It's about starting with momentum, diving right into the task at hand.
Right.
Have you ever noticed how this idiom is often used to describe someone new in a job or role?
That's a great observation.
Yeah.
It highlights the importance of making a strong first impression and showing initiative.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how some idioms like burning the midnight oil have a bit of a double-edged sword to them.
Right.
It implies dedication and hard work, but also touches upon the idea of perhaps pushing ourselves a bit too hard.
Right. Burning the midnight oil speaks to those late night work sessions, the scramble to meet deadlines. There's a sense of urgency, but also a hint of maybe I should have managed my time better. It definitely reflects the reality of many work environments.
It does. And then there's a fresh pair of eyes, which I think highlights the value of collaboration and outside perspectives.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get so close to a project or problem that we lose sight of the bigger picture.
It's like being stuck in a rut, unable to see new solutions or possibilities. A fresh perspective can be incredibly helpful in those situations. It's like saying, okay, let's step back and see this from a different angle. And speaking of perspective, the early bird catches the worm is a timeless reminder about the importance of being proactive.
It's about seizing opportunities and taking initiative, not waiting for things to come to you. What's fascinating is how these seemingly simple phrases about mornings and routines actually offer deeper insights into work ethic, problem solving, and even mindset.
Absolutely. They're not just about literal actions. They're about how we approach challenges and opportunities. It's almost like they offer a little glimpse into the values and beliefs embedded in a culture.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's shift gears a bit and head into the world of work and business.
Okay.
This is where things get interesting, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. There are so many idioms that reflect the dynamics of the workplace.
Right.
Get down to business is a great example. It's that call to action to focus and be productive.
It's like saying, okay, enough chit chat, let's get things done. And in the business world, bringing something to the table is essential.
Right.
It highlights the importance of contributing value, whether it's skills, knowledge, or unique perspective.
Exactly. It's about demonstrating your worth and showing that you're a valuable asset to the team. But sometimes even with the best intentions, we have to put things on the back burner.
That's the reality of prioritization, right? Sometimes we have to delay certain tasks or projects to focus on more urgent matters. It's like acknowledging that we can't do everything at once, and that's okay. But I imagine it can be frustrating when, despite our best efforts, we end up back to square one.
Oh, absolutely. It signifies that feeling of having to start over often after setbacks or unforeseen challenges. It can be a blow to our ego and motivation.
Right.
But it's also an opportunity to reassess our approach and come up with new strategies.
Right. It's like saying, okay, this didn't work, so let's rethink our approach and try something different. And sometimes that something different requires us to think outside the box.
That's where creativity and innovation come into play. It's about breaking free from conventional thinking and exploring new possibilities, challenging the status quo and coming up with unconventional solutions.
It's like saying, let's not be limited by the way things have always been done. Let's push boundaries and see what we can come up with. It's fascinating how these work and business idioms reflect the need for both focus and flexibility. Wouldn't you agree?
I do. They highlight the importance of being able to adapt, to prioritize, and to constantly seek new solutions. Now, I don't know about you, but all this talk about work is making me hungry. How about we move on to some food-related idioms?
Perfect timing. I was just thinking the same thing. Sometimes we get a little too ambitious and bite off more than we can chew.
That's a relatable one. It's about taking on too much, overcommitting ourselves, and then struggling to keep up.
Yeah.
It can apply to work relationships, even our personal goals.
It's like saying, I thought I could handle all of this, but now I'm feeling overwhelmed. And then there are things that are just not our cup of tea.
It's a polite way of saying we don't enjoy something. It acknowledges personal preferences without being dismissive or judgmental.
Right. It's like saying, I respect your taste, but this just isn't for me. It's a gentle way to navigate those differences in taste and preferences. But no matter what our preferences are, it's important to remember not to cry over spilled milk.
It's a reminder that dwelling on past mistakes or things we can't change is unproductive. It's about accepting what's happened and moving forward.
It's like saying, okay, that was a bummer, but I can't change it. Now let's focus on what I can do going forward. However, sometimes those spilled milk moments land us in hot water.
That's when we're facing consequences, often due to our own actions or mistakes. It implies a sense of trouble or difficulty.
It's like saying, I messed up and now I'm dealing with the fallout in those situations. It's probably best not to spill the beans and make things worse.
Right. Spilling the beans is about revealing secrets, often unintentionally. It can lead to embarrassment or complications, especially if the information was sensitive or confidential.
It's like saying, oops, I wasn't supposed to say that.
Yeah.
You know? I find it fascinating how these food-related idioms can be so vivid and relatable, even if we haven't literally experienced those situations.
It's the power of imagery and shared cultural understanding. They tap into those universal experiences of overcommitting, having preferences, making mistakes, and facing consequences.
Okay, I'm ready to move on to our next course of idioms. Let's dive into the world of emotions and reactions. What do you think? Are you ready to explore this fascinating realm of language?
Absolutely. Emotions and reactions. This is where idioms truly shine, expressing complex feelings in a way that resonates across cultures.
It's like they provide a shortcut to understanding those nuanced emotions we all experience now when someone expresses an idea perfectly. We might say they hit the nail on the head.
Precisely, it's about accuracy, getting something exactly right. It's like that satisfying feeling when a puzzle piece clicks into place.
And speaking of things falling into place, sometimes what seems like a negative event turns out to be a blessing in disguise.
That's about finding the silver lining, the unexpected positive outcome.
Right.
It reminds us that things don't always go as planned, but sometimes those unexpected detours lead us to something better.
It's like saying, okay, this wasn't what I expected, but maybe it's working out for the best. But let's face it, some situations present us with a hard pill to swallow.
Ah, yes. Those difficult truths or realities that are tough to accept. It's that moment when we have to confront something unpleasant.
Right.
Or acknowledge a mistake.
It's like saying, this is hard to hear, but I need to accept it. And sometimes that acceptance comes with a side of nervousness or hesitation, those cold feet moments.
Those feelings are so relatable. It's that feeling of doubt or anxiety before a big event or decision. We've all been there, haven't we?
Absolutely. It's like that internal battle between excitement and fear. But in those moments of uncertainty, it's important to remember to keep your chin up.
That's about staying positive and resilient in the face of challenges. It's a reminder to focus on what we can control and to keep moving forward.
It's like saying, this is tough, but I'm not giving up.
Yeah.
You know what I find fascinating about these emotion-related idioms is how they capture those universal human experiences we all go through.
Exactly. They provide a shared language for expressing those ups and downs of life, those moments of joy, disappointment, hesitation, and resilience.
Okay, I'm feeling energized and ready to take action. Let's move on to those idioms that focus on action and decision-making. What do you think ready to delve into this next category?
Ready when you are. Let's explore those phrases that capture the essence of initiative, choice, and commitment. And speaking of commitment, going the extra mile is a great place to start.
It's about exceeding expectations, putting in that extra effort to achieve something truly remarkable. It's that willingness to go above and beyond what's required.
Exactly. It's like saying, I'm not just going to meet the bare minimum, I'm going to strive for excellence. And then there's the phenomenon of jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
Which reflects how trends and ideas spread.
It's about joining a popular movement or trend, often with a sense of enthusiasm and excitement.
Right. It's like saying, this seems interesting, count me in. But sometimes the big approach is to play it by ear.
That's about being flexible. adapting to circumstances as they unfold. It's about embracing spontaneity and being open to change.
It's like saying, let's see what happens and make decisions as we go. But even with the best intentions, sometimes we have to acknowledge when it's time to throw in the towel.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
But it's about recognizing when to stop pursuing something that's not working. It's about accepting defeat and moving on.
It's like saying, I've given it my best shot, but it's time to let go. And then there are those situations where the ball is in your court.
That's about passing the responsibility for decision-making to someone else. It's about acknowledging their agency and waiting for their response.
It's like saying, okay, I've done my part, now it's your turn to make a move. I think these action and decision-making idioms are so valuable because they provide a framework for navigating those pivotal moments in life.
They do. They help us understand the dynamics of commitment, flexibility, surrender, and responsibility.
Yeah.
And I think they can make us feel more confident and articulate when facing those moments of choice.
Absolutely. They give us the language to express our intentions, to navigate uncertainty, and to respond to changing circumstances. Now, how about we shift our focus to those idioms that help us understand the complexities of conversations and relationships, ready to delve into the realm of social dynamics?
Absolutely. This is where things get really interesting. I love how idioms can help us decipher those subtle cues and unspoken rules of social interaction. And what better way to start than with a penny for your thoughts?
It's a gentle invitation to share what's on your mind, showing genuine interest in the other person's perspective. It's like saying, I'm curious about what you're thinking. And then there are those situations where the ball is in your court.
That's about passing the responsibility for decision-making to someone else. It's about acknowledging their agency and waiting for their response.
It's like saying, okay, I've done my part now, it's your turn to make a move. I think these action and decision-making idioms are so valuable because they provide a framework for navigating those pivotal moments in life.
They do. They help us understand the dynamics of commitment, flexibility, surrender, and responsibility. And I think they can make us feel more confident and articulate when facing those moments of choice.
Absolutely. They give us the language to express our intentions, to navigate uncertainty, and to respond to changing circumstances. All right. How about we shift our focus to those idioms that help us understand the complexities of conversations and relationships, ready to delve into the realm of social dynamics?
Absolutely. This is where things get really interesting. I love how idioms can help us decipher those subtle cues and unspoken rules of social interaction. And what better way to start than with a penny for your thoughts?
It's a gentle invitation to share what's on your mind, showing genuine interest in the other person's perspective. It's like saying, I'm curious about what you're thinking.
And sometimes it's necessary to keep an eye on something or someone, especially if there's a sense of concern or potential risk.
It's about being observant, paying attention to details and potential changes that can apply to situations or relationships, even our own goals and aspirations.
Right. It's like saying, let's stay vigilant and aware of what's happening. But sometimes, despite our best efforts, we find ourselves barking up the wrong tree.
That's about being mistaken pursuing a line of thought or action that leads to a dead end. It's about realizing we've made a wrong assumption or misjudged a situation.
It's like saying, oops, I was wrong about that. But even when we make mistakes, it's comforting to know that we're all in the same boat.
That's about shared experiences facing similar challenges or circumstances. It reminds us that we're not alone in our struggles.
It's like saying we're in this together, and sometimes it's necessary to acknowledge that past conflicts or issues are water under the bridge.
That's about letting go of past grievances, choosing to move forward without holding on to resentment or anger.
It's like saying, that was then, this is now. It's about forgiveness and reconciliation. I find these conversation and relationship idioms to be incredibly helpful in navigating those sometimes tricky waters of social interaction.
Me too. They provide insights into social dynamics, helping us understand how to express interest, show concern, navigate disagreements, and ultimately build stronger connections with others.
All right, as our metaphorical day winds down, let's explore some idioms related to evenings and relaxation. What have we got?
Ah, yes. Those phrases that capture the essence of winding down and finding respite, call it a night, is a perfect example. It signifies the decision to end an activity and rest.
It's like saying, okay, I'm done for today, time to recharge. And sometimes before we rest, we need to wipe the slate clean. Metaphorically speaking, of course.
That's about starting fresh, forgiving ourselves or others for past mistakes and embracing new beginnings. It's that feeling of letting go of burdens and stepping into a new day with a renewed sense of hope.
It's like saying, okay, let's forget about what happened and start over. But of course, before we start over, we have to acknowledge those moments when time flies, when you're having fun.
That captures that feeling of being so engrossed in something enjoyable that we lose track of time. It's a reminder to savor those moments of joy and to embrace activities that make us feel fully alive.
It's like saying, wow, I can't believe how quickly the time has passed. It often happens when we're engaged in something we love, whether it's spending time with loved ones pursuing a hobby or simply being present in the moment.
It does. It's a reminder to cherish those moments and to prioritize activities that bring us joy and fulfillment.
Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this section. What do you think? Are you ready for our final round of idioms?
Ready and excited. It's amazing how much ground we've covered exploring the nuances of these everyday expressions.
Absolutely. Okay, so for our final act, let's delve into those idioms that help us talk about time and change. What do you have in store for us?
Well, let's start with a phrase that evokes a sense of nostalgia. That was a lifetime ago. It emphasizes how distant a past event feels, as if it belongs to a different era.
It's like saying, wow, so much has happened since then. It feels like a completely different life. It really captures that feeling of time slipping away and how experiences shape our perception of the past.
It does, and sometimes we encounter situations where everything seems to shift dramatically, like it's a whole new ball game.
That's a great one for describing those major life changes that require us to adapt and learn new rules, whether it's a new job, a new relationship, or even a new phase of life. It's like saying, everything's different now. I need a new approach.
Exactly. But even when things change drastically, it's important to keep your eye on the prize, to stay focused on our goals despite the inevitable challenges and distractions that come our way.
It's about maintaining that sense of purpose and motivation, reminding ourselves why we started this journey in the first place. It's like saying, I won't let setbacks deter me. I'm going to achieve what I set out to do. It's a powerful reminder to stay resilient and committed, wouldn't you say?
I agree. And sometimes when we're striving towards those big goals, we need to remember that Rome wasn't built in a day. It's a call for patience and persistence, acknowledging that meaningful progress takes time and effort.
It's like saying it's okay if things don't happen overnight. I'm in this for the long haul. It's about trusting the process and celebrating those small victories along the way.
Right.
And speaking of time, there's a timeless truth in the saying, time heals all wounds.
That speaks to the restorative power of time, its ability to soften the sharp edges of pain and heartache. It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, things will eventually get better.
It's like saying this hurts now, but I know that with time, the pain will ease. It's a message of hope and resilience.
It is. And looking back on all the idioms we've explored today, I'm struck by how much they reveal about the human experience. They capture our joys and sorrows, our triumphs and setbacks, our hopes and fears.
They provide this incredible insight into how we perceive the world, how we relate to each other, and how we navigate the complexities of life. It's like each idiom is a tiny window into the human heart, revealing our shared vulnerabilities and our enduring strength.
What's fascinating is how these phrases, often passed down through generations, continue to resonate with us today. They connect us to our shared cultural heritage and remind us that we're not alone in our experiences.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to encourage our listener to keep exploring the world of idioms. Don't be afraid to use them in your conversations, to experiment, and to have fun with language.
Embrace the challenge, and you'll be amazed at how much richer your communication becomes. It's like adding vibrant colors to a painting, bringing depth and texture to your expression.
And remember, language learning is an ongoing journey. There's always something new to discover, some hidden gem waiting to be unearthed. So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those conversations flowing.
Until next time, happy language learning.